Yo, what's going on, your boy Ghost here, and today I'm bringing you guys another comparison video between the Mac and Bullfrog. And I want to make this comparison because I've been seeing a lot of talk about the Mac recently, saying that the weapon is pretty good, and we're gonna explore the topic to see if it's able to compete with weapons such as the Bullfrog, which is considered to be, well, one of the best SMGs in the game. But before we get into that, I want to say, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We're on road to 2K. We are about 320 subscribers away, so if you could help a brother out, that'd be very appreciated. Also, man, if you could do me the favor of following me over on my Twitch channel, we are about 11 followers away from 200, and I tend to stream frequently. I wouldn't say daily, but I tend to stream frequently. So that's another way that me and you guys, the viewers, can interact, and it's a great time over there. But yeah, man, with that being said, let's get into the comparison. And here we have the recoil pattern for the Mac-10, which, as you can see, it's nothing too crazy. Literally just goes up, very easy to control, very easy, no recoil type stuff. Just like the Bullfrog, actually. Both the Bullfrog and Mac-10 are pretty accurate SMGs. And as you can see here, this is the class setup for the Mac-10, or I guess the finalized one that I decided to go with, and I guess we'll be using for the future of Warzone, unless things change and attachments are figured out to be better, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, actually, though, although I have that class setup finalized right there, I will admit I went over like 3 or 4 different class setups for this Mac, and I don't know, even the class setup that I have, I don't even feel 100% confident with. I don't know, the gun just, it felt odd this time around. Like, I'm not gonna lie, given what people were saying about it, people were saying that it was like feeling good, or that it was pretty good or viable, this and that. I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm gonna have to disagree with those statements. Don't get me wrong, the Mac-10 is still a very good weapon, it's very fun, but I don't know, it just felt like it was letting me down a lot this time around. I saw myself lose a lot of easy gunfights. I saw myself couldn't outgun other like things like the Bullfrog, the 74U, the MP5. Like, I was just feeling like I was not doing anything, like if I was just shooting marshmallows. And I know that this Mac-10 received a damage nerf when Season 3 first came out, I believe. I believe it was when Season 3 first came out, which, to be honest, I think that was an unnecessary nerf. Not to say that the Mac-10 wasn't like one of the best guns in the game during the time it was, very good, but I don't know, like the FFAR definitely shadowed over it, and I really didn't. If the Mac-10 stayed untouched, I think it would still be like heavily contested with like a Bullfrog or even the new PPSH, XM4, blah blah blah. But the fact that it got nerfed kind of surprised me. But at the end of the day, they've been doing unnecessary nerfs anyway. For some guns, they've been doing overall great, but I still think that some changes have been unnecessary, and the Mac was definitely like unexpected for me. I know that it was being used frequently, and maybe that's why. They tend to nerf weapons that get used a lot, even if they aren't really the most overpowered, which I understand. You want to diversify it, and I mean, to be fair, if the Mac-10, or actually, no, let me say it like this. If the Mac-10 nerf was the reason for all this diversity, then I'm okay with that. If the diversity of Warzone right now wouldn't have been possible with the Mac-10 how it was before, then I guess I could take it being nerfed. But to be honest, that one damage nerf just feels so much more like impactful than the AMAX. Say with the AMAX, what I'm saying, like it still feels like a monster, and it's still heavily considered one of the best ARs. The Mac is considered viable, but like if I had to put it, if you guys are familiar with the tier list, like a S tier, A tier, B tier, I would have to put it at a B tier. I'm not gonna lie, I really think there's a lot of other SMGs that are just capable of straight up gunning it, and not even like competing in terms of just overall performance, but if it came down to a head-on battle with a lot of SMGs, this gun is going to lose a lot of them, or at least for me, I felt like it was losing a lot of them. I saw myself just losing winnable gunfights that I should normally be winning with other SMGs, and I was very frustrated with it because, again, I heard a lot of good things about it, and to be fair, this gun is amazing in every other aspect. Like, again, it has no recoil. When I put on the Tiger Team Spotlight and no stock, my mobility is insane. And I know there's another build out there that has like the fastest Mac-10, where you have like the fastest gun in the game. I'm not entirely sure if that's still like the thing now. I'm not sure if that's still relevant now, but I remember at one point it was one of the fastest gun in the game if you built it a certain way. And just like overall, like everything about it is smooth. It's great, but the damage now, it just feels like it's not all there. It's very like, it's capable of being good, And I'll even say it is kind of reliable, but again, I just put it at that mid tier, that B tier, where like it's good, but you know there's so many better weapons out there that are just gonna straight up gun it if you get into a one-on-one altercation with it. But again, man, don't let that steer you away from it. I think it's a very fun weapon to use if you want to change it up a little bit. Because again, it's not so bad to the point where you can't like compete with the meta. You can, definitely can, but I feel like 8 times out of 10 in a gunfight, or even 7, maybe 7 times out of 10, the Bullfrog or any other SMG is gonna be able to like gun the Mac. But anyways, with that being said, man, let's get into the Bullfrog. And here we have the recoil pattern for the Bullfrog, which, although it seems completely different than the Mac, because it does like it starts going to the left, the recoil again is pretty much non-existent. That's what I like about both these weapons. They're very accurate, very reliable at range. Well, I guess the Mac was really reliable at range. I still feel like, again, with the whole damage aspect, it's kind of weird at range. And again, if you guys have been paying attention to my, I guess, last few videos, I've been talking a lot about the Bullfrog and its capabilities at that mid-range to somewhat long-range, and how an SMG and its range factor like is one of the things that makes me lean towards certain SMGs. Like if the SMG doesn't have a decent mid-range, then I can't really use it because of how I use my SMGs. And I think that's what I missed about, or I guess that aspect I kind of missed with the Mac, because again, like, see, like I can get away with attempting to challenge an AR with my Bullfrog, or you know, any other SMG that very good. But with the Mac, I definitely cannot get away with that. I would 100% get sent to the gulag every time if I tried doing that with the Mac. You know, again, there's going to be some cases where the Mac will be able to gun people at certain ranges, but you know, depending, it really just depends on the user. But for the most part, on how my gunfights go, you know, the way I play, having a Mac-10 at that mid-range is going to mean death for me. It is going to mean death. But with the Bullfrog, I'm very confident, very confident to outgun a lot of guns at that mid-range. And that's just how I feel. Like, I'm way more comfortable with the Bullfrog now. I just feel more safe with it, if you will. I just feel like the gun itself just has, like, if this gun had the Mac mobility and just how it feels, this would be literally one of the best guns of all time. One of the best guns of all time. But you know, even with the no stuck on my Bullfrog, it feels a little bit stiff, kind of in a way. Not Mac-10 smooth. You know, Mac-10 is really smooth, and that's why people lean towards it when it was, you know, meta, because it was just that good in terms of mobility. And if the Bullfrog had that similar Mac-10 mobility, we'd be great. Not to say that the Bullfrog doesn't have great mobility, because it does. It does. It has great mobility. And again, I use no stock, so it makes it even better in the Tiger Team Spotlight. But you know, the Mac-10 just felt like on different. I was walking on clouds, man. I was just walking on clouds. But that's really it that I think that the Mac-10 has over the Bullfrog. I think every other thing aside from maybe the mobility, and that's just depending. That varies on person too. Most people might say even the mobility on the Bullfrog is better, but for me, I think that the Mac is better. But again, overall, man, like if you take into account everything that the Mac-10 and Bullfrog has, I gotta say that like, the Bullfrog is still, I think, infinitely better than the Mac-10. Like, I think the Mac-10 is at the point where it's able to give it some competition, but like, you know, like the Bullfrog will come out on top in the end. It's not, but if the Bullfrog is not this overly dominant weapon where it just makes the Mac-10 look silly, but it doesn't. You know, it's not that crazy. It's crazy, but it's not that crazy. And then when you put into the whole retrospect of just the whole secondary meta or the SMG meta of Warzone, like that's where it starts getting a little interesting, because you start putting with the Mac-10 against like the same 4U or the PVSH or any of the MP5s or the LC10. Like, you know, you start really trying to think about it. You're like, where does the Mac-10 rank above all these? And to be honest, all the SMGs that I just named, except for that Cold War MP5, because the Cold War MP5 I think is more like I know it's really good, and some people are able to use it very well, very efficiently, but for the most part, most people can't vibe with that weapon. And I think like most people would lean over towards the Mac over a Cold War MP5. But all the other SMGs that I mentioned, I think most people would put those SMGs over the Mac-10, and I myself is going to put all those SMGs over the Mac-10. My top 5 ranking would not include a Mac-10, because I just think there's 5 better SMGs 5 better secondaries that are just, you know, capable of being a better option than the Mac-10. But again, man, don't let what I said deter you away from the Mac-10. I know it kind of feels like I was like kind of hating on the Mac-10, but it is a good weapon. It's a very fun weapon to use. It's just that for how it was hyped up to me, I was a little underwhelmed and just kind of disappointed. Because, you know, again, I heard a lot of good things about it, and people were saying some things. But to be honest, I didn't see any of the things that they were saying. It just felt kind of, you know, just But, yeah, man, let me know what you guys think about the Mac-10 in the current season of Warzone, and where do you guys rank it among your personal SMD ranks. And, yeah, man, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.